Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Tom Murphy Show. Tonight we're going to be talking about the industrial area of the village of Mamaroneck. That's the area that's bordered by the Sheldrick River over to Rockland Avenue, by I-95 to the railroad bridge. And tonight we are lucky to have two important men about town with us. Andrew Spatz, who's the chairman of the industrial development area, and John Verney, who's a member and very instrumental in putting together a plan that we're going to be talking about tonight. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening, Tom, and thank you for having us this evening.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Let's just start with what spurred the idea to fund a plan and to do the work on it.
Tom, that's a great question. It actually goes back several years ago. This is actually the second study that's been done for the industrial area. The first initial one was back in 1997. And back in 2013, 2014, the village applied for a grant, received that grant, and an RFP was sent out late in 2014, at which point in the summer of 2014, we were commissioned by the Board of Trustees, about 12 individuals, an incredible effort, I must add, to start and embark upon this project of arriving at visions that would assure both economic and environmental longevity in the industrial area, with the assistance of a consulting group of which we interviewed approximately six different entities, and arrived at Replace Urban Studios, who ultimately received the grant.
Just so folks at home, the nomenclature, an RFP is a request for proposals that government gives out to to provide services, so that it's an open process.
Absolutely.
So everybody gets a chance to bid on it. The bids are opened, and so the lowest bid usually gets it.
And it's funny that you just used and coined open process, and I think John would agree that it was absolutely priority. It was paramount as chair of this committee and the 5 members that composed of this committee to make our process as transparent, collective as possible, participatory by the community, and to make it and learn from previous studies that have been done, so that once we arrived, much like we did a week and a half ago before the Board of Trustees, it's really it's reflective, indicative of the input, not just by the owners and landowners down in the industrial area, by residents alike.
John, from your work, where are we headed with the industrial area?
Well, as you know, Mamaroneck has a lot of great assets, and so we have a great downtown, we have a great waterfront, we have Harbor Islands, we have several great neighborhoods. The industrial area is an opportunity. And just like the old train station that we rehabilitated and turned it into offices and the restaurant that's there, the industrial area is another opportunity. Right now it's a bit of a hodgepodge, but there's tremendous opportunities to bring a new vision to that. And so Andy did a great job of leading the committee and bringing in some fresh ideas from this group in the city, Replace, and came to a vision of bringing new energy to the industrial area and maybe turning it into something that's unique in Westchester.
Just in the code, it's the manufacturing area. We all call it the industrial area, but at one point there was a lot of manufacturing that happened down there. You had Selectro, as I think your report points out, which I had heard of, but I had never actually seen it documented, is that it was originally got started by a German guy, opened up a factory to make waterproof clothing. And a lot of German immigrants came, and that's why you have a Lutheran church right down the block on Fenimore Road. So it's interesting to see how the community developed. But what are the uses? I mean, obviously you don't want to push anybody out that's there now. That's been, some people have been there generations.
Sure.
But what are the uses that could possibly originate now under the new plan?
Tom, that's a really great question, and it's actually one of the concerns.
That's why I have a show.
That's why you're in that's why you're not seeing. We're sitting over here, Tom. Absolutely. But that's a concern that's been expressed by both residents and owners and tenants alike. And the priority right now, and obviously the theme, is we're not looking to push anyone out. What we're trying to do, in fact, we want to celebrate the historical context of the fine individuals that are gainfully employed in the industrial area, products that are made here in the village of Mamaroneck, and even there's 17 homes down there. People actually live down there as well. So we want to celebrate the historical context of this, yet at the same time, We want to make it more inclusive. If you want to sell a sandwich, if you want to sell a piece of art via an art gallery, 150 feet outside Fenimore Road, you can't do that right now. So we're trying to open up that door so there are more business opportunities and for other businesses. So people would say, well, we're concerned, do we have to be grandfathered in? We don't even want to go there because as of right, you can operate down there what you're doing. We're not looking to change that. We just want to bring more opportunities in. Some of the ideas that we discussed were much like indoor sports facility. And if you take a look at
If we can get this up on the screen.
one of the graphics, this is what, after 18 months of working diligently with our commission, receiving feedback from the community, this is what we arrived at. And you can see in the foreground a sports facility, indoor sports facility. Why should people in the Sound Shore have to go up to Stanford or
we have it on the
elsewhere?
screen now. Okay.
You can see also some of the current uses, the auto body shop here in the right corner. You've also got some restaurants, and you've got some people are concerned about the traffic flow. These are passive ways, as you can see from the cobble road, to slow the traffic down.
And just so folks watching, this is Waverly Avenue.
This would be Waverly Avenue and the traffic calming effect here. So in essence, we're celebrating the previous uses, but at the same time looking forward to having think tanks, work tanks.
What this reminds me of a lot is what's happened over the last 20 years to Long Island City.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And there's some great assets here because it has the access right off of 95,
Right.
which is right there. It actually has a major internet trunk line that's right there.
Okay.
So this can be like the new Brooklyn
high tech,
or for
Dumbo.
high tech or the new Dumbo or one of those places. And it's not really going for one big use that's going to push anyone out. It's looking to bring new uses in, maybe live-work situations in certain areas, more artists, more entrepreneurs, internet entrepreneurs, that type of thing. Artisanal foods. There's already some great food vendors down there, bringing more artisanal food, people who make artisanal cheeses or different type of gourmet type of foods, because it's got that great access. And frankly, from the real estate side, the prices down in Brooklyn, the prices in Dumbo, the prices
Yeah,
down in Rhode Island City
it's over.
it's over.
Yeah.
So they're looking for places where someone can have an artisanal food business and have a reasonable rent there. So it's an opportunity for Mamaroneck to capitalize on an asset.
And just to quickly go back to Long Island City, I mean, Long Island City, at one point, when I started in the elevator business, there was a lot of elevator shops out there, a lot of machine shops, ironworks, and I hadn't been out there in 20 years. And I went out to fix an elevator, I don't know, a few months ago, and I was shocked. It was like, you think about it, it's a waterfront asset, too. So
All those warehouse buildings that, in the real estate business, everyone's looking for those
Yes.
warehouse buildings to convert, and they're all gone now.
They're all
so
gone.
they're looking for new places, and this is an opportunity for Mamaroneck to bring people in.
And it doesn't have to happen overnight, Tom. What we're looking for, there's certain low-hanging fruits that we can start tomorrow. For example, one of the very popular concepts are food truck vendors. On weekends, close down one of the roads in the industrial area. Set up some of the food vendors. Make it a destination. Let the people who may not know about the industrial area, who may just drive through as off 95 to get to the residence, come down and visit. The concept that we've arrived at is a tool. It's a roadmap. It's nothing set in stone. So we still welcome the input, not only from the owners of property in the industrial area, but also residents alike that live on the south side of the industrial area over by Rockland or on the north side of the industrial area.
There's two things here. I mean, the one thing that I like about it is that the industrial area doesn't really border on, directly border on the any residential areas.
Right.
So you can have development there, increase your tax base, and not have it really interfere with the quality of life of our current residents.
Right. So it complements the neighborhoods.
Yes.
Yes, and also it doesn't interfere with your downtown, because we don't want to interfere with
Right.
what's going on. On Mamaroneck Avenue, we have one of the best commercial areas in Westchester, and so it's not meant to take people out of your downtown area. It's meant
to complement
meant
it,
to complement it and bring some new uses there.
Like as I read when I was reading the report, you want to use Hoyt Avenue to kind of meld the two, right? Yeah. So you want to change.
We're making reference to the buffer zones. One of the priorities, and if we could bring this up on
On the
thank
screen.
you, on the
Yeah, there we
screen.
go.
Thank you. You can actually see where we have two specific buffer zones. One by just north of the industrial area, south of Washingtonville, as well as on the south end, and then along the Sheldrake.
Right.
That is a underutilized area which should be celebrated as a pathway. Join the community. Allow people to use the Sheldrake to gain access to the industrial area by. It's a beautiful area.
So you walk through.
You can connect Larchmont, the town of Mamaroneck, with the rest of the community. And this is area, make it a green area. And there's some wonderful illustrations in the city of areas that are right along the river that were at one point not very feasible or attractive.
Right.
Make it attractive so people can come and have a picnic lunch or just enjoy the nature.
Now, let me ask something, because I always thought it was fascinating that there's a railroad spur
Yes.
down there. Are you going to envision keeping the railroad spur?
There were no plans to capitalize or utilize that particular spur, and so really
Because I know Marval uses it still.
that is currently still in use by Marvell, and really we did not address utilizing that particular spur. And ironically, from what I understand, one of the reasons why our New Haven line is, for commercial purposes, limited, it's the height of the bridges. You can't get a lot of the large-sized cars that get to
As
the
you can
bridges.
see, I'm a Marinade quite often.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
That's just with the vehicle.
Right.
So really, it adds character, and it's certainly unique. But that we were not utilizing that as a strength or a.
Yeah, I was working really late one night, about 2 o'clock in the morning. It was the first time I ever actually saw a cargo thing backing up into there.
And there's actually, they have to have a manned individual out on the road because there's no.
It's pretty cool though when you see
It is.
Yeah.
One other thing about the buffer that Andy brought up was that we're cognizant of the fact that the area has some flooding issues. And,
course, yeah.
Andy and I are both on the Flood Mitigation
Yes.
Advisory Committee, and we saw you last week when the Army Corps of Engineers were here. So that work is going to take place, and rather than fight against that, we're bringing in these buffer areas to be cognizant of the fact that the area does have some flooding issues.
Yeah.
And so the buffers would recognize that and not try to do development in an area that we know that's going to flood. So
Right.
the Army Corps situation will help it, but there are areas that are a little higher than others there, and that, we haven't been blind to that as we've gone through the process.
And I also think that you got to proceed as if that doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I hope that the government comes in and helps us all out, but
Could take a
in
while.
this day and age, it might take a while, and we might all, we'd be Andy will still be here. Sorry, Joe.
Always like this.
Right, exactly.
You have the Fountain of Youth, though, over in your backyard. Tom, one thing, as former chair of the Flood Mitigation Advisory Committee, we stress, and we also factored in our vision and proposals, is the municipality has to also rely on itself. What I mean by that is individuals that want to develop parcels. There's technology that is consistent with good water management, and the retention.
Like rain gardens.
Exactly.
Exactly.
There's one slide, unfortunately, I did something to the computer, but there was one slide that we often made reference to that's from Vancouver. The municipality has sidewalks with retention capabilities, where literally, rather than the water just going off into the curb and into, that it actually retained the water. So there's technology that can be utilized by both the village as well as developers.